Hello and welcome to SoulWhat, a Soultopia podcast. I am your co-host, Michelle Welch, along with our producer, Matt Stoker.
And I'm your co-host, Roger Welch. So what's up today, Michelle?
I'm really excited. I have a friend with us and your friend also, very good friend, Benebell Wynn. I want to tell you guys a little bit about Benebell. I'm sorry we're getting started a little bit late tonight. Thank you for hanging in, right?
Little technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties tonight. But as always, Matt pulled through for us. He's looking a little stressed, but it's great, right?
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. My computer died for a minute, but it looks like it's back now just in time for it to not be useful to us, but that's all right.
I think it's the fancy shirt.
It must be.
I'll tell you like I tell Michelle, it's updates. Got to update it.
That's true, yeah. This thing's slugging a little bit. We might need to run some updates over here.
I think, and you're telling Matt, the pro, what to do on that. Yeah. So Benebell Wynn is a practitioner of various metaphysical arts. She studies tarot, feng shui, the I Ching, numerology, and both Chinese and I'm going to have her say this, Hellenistic, I can't say that right, astrology, numerology, and both Chinese, I just said that. And Wynn is the author of Holistic Tarot, an integrative approach. We have our book here to using tarot for personal growth, and that's by North Atlantic Books. And you're also, this other book is not on here, so I'm going to have you Benebell tell you that book. And when not lecturing, teaching, or writing on metaphysics, Wynn practices law in California and New York, which is extremely impressive, you guys. I'm just going to tell you straight up. Those are the two hardest bar exams. Texas is the third. She is of Taiwanese descent and currently lives in Northern California with her husband, James, and their beloved cat. Welcome, Benebell. I actually somehow made it through that bio. It's wonderful, and I'm glad you're here.
Hi, Michelle. Hi, Roger.
Hey.
I'm sorry I messed up your bio, but she
Not
also,
at all. It was perfect.
She's
The cat died though a couple of years ago.
Oh, did it? So that's from your, but I apologize then.
That's okay. It's a little bit old, but yeah. I mean, the spirit of the cat is still here.
Yes.
So you're absolutely accurate.
Okay. So tell us about your other book that I know it's the second book.
Oh, The Tao of Craft.
Yeah. So what was the name? That's the name of The Tao of Craft. And who published that book?
Both of the books are by North Atlantic Books.
Okay. And Roger and I were going to give just a little more personal bio. That's why I didn't read that exactly right. And I thought, I've got to give all Benebell's academic bio because it's so impressive. You also, just to throw in, like Benebell lectures everywhere, right, Roger? Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, that's how we met you, the Reader Studio. And when you were main stage there in New York City, and you were so impressive. Roger wasn't there that year.
Not that year.
And then
It was the next year.
yeah, and then you've just spoken in so many places. You spoke at StarCon, and you really are a headliner every time I've been to anything or I've heard you. You're the main stage speaker. But we also pulled off your website, and we didn't really warn Benebell that we were going to do this, but it's your website, so hey, And we were talking before we went on the air that she's an INFJ on the Myers-Briggs, and you said you don't know what you are, Roger?
It's something like that, I know.
Yeah. And also about your husband, James, he does all the financial and accounting. Here, I'm going to give you some of this, Roger, because it's interesting. Okay, so here we go. And that you said you're a sister, and that's very important to you. You have how many sisters?
I have 2 younger sisters.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting reading about how one's a lawyer also, right?
At Skadden Arps in New York.
Yeah, and then, but you guys are all very different, you said.
We're really different. She's she's your typical New Yorker, talks fast, walks fast. She's really she has to work on billable hours. And if you know anything about lawyer personalities, people who work in litigation and do billable hours, they have a particular big law personality, and that would be her. The other sister is in Houston, Texas, and she wears a lot of plaid. She's very down to earth, more sociable, more extroverted than I am. And I think I'm kind of hippy dippy, so.
Yeah, a little, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the introvert part of you, because I've seen some of your posts. I've seen some of your. When I met you, because you were on the elevator with Ethany.
Oh, uh-huh.
And you're like, hi. I mean, you weren't you weren't introverted at all, really.
Well, Ethany will bring out probably the extrovert in most people, I think, right? Yeah. She's definitely
She
an
has,
extrovert.
she has that magnetic energy for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so did you live? You were licensed in New York. Did you grow up in New York? I mean, is that where you grew up, and is that why you got licensed, or is that where you went to law school?
No, I grew up there. So I grew up in upstate New York, and then I came out to California for law school, and then I took the California bar. But because at that time I wasn't sure if I was going to stay in California forever or go back home to New York, I also took the New York bar just so that I could be able to do both. And then because New York City's business and the Silicon Valley are just so interconnected, I ended up having to practice in both states.
Okay. Well, do you want to tell about what you found interesting on her website? I don't know if Matt's ready yet.
You got that other picture?
One second.
Okay.
We have another picture we need explanation on.
This is definitely the introverted side.
The introverted picture right here.
Oh no! That is
Are you going to be mad at us? Are you going to be mad? Well, you're on the show with Roger.
I'm not mad at all.
Okay.
No, so
I'm just embarrassed.
No, it's cute. It's cute.
I think you could go full way with this every day.
So I have a one with a blue hair wig.
Yeah, you do.
It was on, but what is it? It was one of the Day of the Dead or something that were.
Was it Day of the Dead?
Yeah. Are you showing it, Matt?
Yeah, it's up.
Yeah.
With pink hair.
So, pink hair. Pink hair, don't care, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I
Pink
thought
hair,
it
don't
looked.
care.
I thought it looked cute. So
thank you.
yes, it looked really good. So one of the reasons, Benebell, you've been on before, and I really appreciate you taking time because I know there's a lot of things going on. And also, you guys, she's the author and artist of the Spirit Keepers Tarot. And she is, I will just say this, if you don't know Benebell, she is one of the, if not the most talented person I know. Smartest, just don't even be humble because it's true. Like one of the smartest people I know and talented. She is a self-taught artist, and you're working on another deck right now. What's the name of it?
It's also Spirit Keepers Tarot. It's the 3rd edition where I take the deck architecture and put it into full color. So it's called the Revelation edition because it's going to be the final installment of the 3-edition Spirit Keepers Tarot series.
Oh, cool.
Okay,
What's your
so-
time frame on that coming out?
I'm still working on the artwork, so I think I should finish the art by February. And then because there's the Chinese New Year, that means all manufacturing in China pretty much stops. So March and April is when I'm looking at beginning pre-orders.
So let me tell you guys, when we're talking now, don't go off of it now to go to her page, but later go, and Benebell will tell y'all the best way to look at this. But where I look at it is on Facebook. I'm sure it's on Instagram too, and her YouTube channel and things like that. But I'm on Facebook, and so it's easiest for me. But wherever you go, I have followed this journey of you from this deck and how you say, I've learned to draw a better face. I've learned to draw a better nose. And it's, of course, to me, they looked great to begin with, but I'll look at it and I'm like, it is unbelievable. And somebody the other day, they were literally arguing. I can't remember who it was, but they're kind of arguing with me. They're like, yeah, well, she was trained in art school. And I was like, I don't think so. And I'm like kind of looking up your bio, and I'm like, I don't see that. I really don't think so. I think she was trained. And I asked you about it, and you said, no, I trained on
YouTube. I would listen to podcasts, and YouTube is a phenomenal place for education if you know where to look and you subscribe to the right channels. But there's a lot of art professors that do these free lectures on composition, color, saturation, everything you could think of, all human anatomy, all the aspects of art. And I just watch and consume as many lectures as I can to improve my artwork.
I think what I like about you is you're a teacher, clearly, and a lecturer, but you're one of the people who you're always going to be learning. You're always going to be improving. And I really like to surround myself with people like that. I just like the excellence of people who do that. And you've been doing that. You've taken advantage of this COVID time. I think you always do it anyway. But I want you to know that I got one of those tablets to draw on.
Where is it?
It's still in the box.
Hey, Benebell, remember when she asked you about that tablet months ago?
Oh.
Yeah, I ordered that tablet that next night. It's still in the box.
Well, I'm sure that I'm going to make good use of that with my stick figures. I just don't think it's. I didn't know you had to have a little thing for your wrist. I was like, I can't even get past that part. So you know how you.
The little the sleeve that you have to wear so you don't smear all over the screen.
Yeah, I was just like,
It's in the box.
Yeah,
It's in the box.
It's all in the box.
But I just want y'all to know that I do also pursue excellence once it comes out of the box. I might pursue excellence on that.
Well, this book proves it, right?
Yeah, so we're getting to the book. So first of all, I do want to tell you guys Benebell's book, The Holistic Tarot. I love both of her books, but we do have in the store right now currently Holistic Tarot, and I want you to know that it is everything you ever want to know about tarot, but it's as deep as you want to go with your study, but it's also, don't be intimidated by the book, because it's, even if you're a beginner, you can use it. And Benebell said to me last time she was on, you said this to me, you were like, no, it was meant to be a beginner book. Like, it's approachable. It wasn't meant to be, but it can be daunting to people, but don't let it be. And I sell this to people who are just starting tarot, because anything you want to know, you can find in this book. Mm-hmm. You don't have to go, how a lot of times you'll get a book and you'll think, oh, I need to go to that other book to learn about this, something else about it. And then I got to go in another reference book to find out about the elements. And I need to go to another reference book to find about, astrology. And you're going to all these different reference books. It's all in here. So you can get everything you need to know in this one book. And I mean that, right? Mm-hmm. It's my favorite book on tarot.
Your favorite book?
Yep. On that topic, it is. It is. And my second favorite book is
this book,
The Magic of Connection, which Benebell wrote the foreword to. And I will tell you, the foreword is worth buying the book because she's such a great writer. And she wrote it really quite a long time ago, because it's been a while because of COVID and everything. And it's been a while since you wrote it. But I did want to ask you, and it's a story. You talked at the beginning about the first sentence is about when I was a child, my mother taught me a mantra to Kuan Yin. Could you tell us a little bit about that, about the golden light?
Well, that one's easy to tell.
Yeah.
So it's Namo Guanxin Pusa. It's an invocation to I think that's the Maitreya Buddha, if you're doing the translation to English. Sometimes I don't always know how words translate. So I think it's the Maitreya Bodhisattva, a Buddha, and then Kuan Yin. And when I was little, if I was scared of the dark, before a test, before I had to take a final exam, anytime I was feeling anything less than positive, my mom would tell me to recite that mantra. And then even when I had to do sitting meditation, we were trained to do sitting meditation for 3 to 4 hours. And during that, in the beginning, before I moved into silent meditation, it was mantra recitation. So I would have to recite that mantra over and over and over again for 3 hours straight in sitting meditation. So it became second nature to me. And now as an adult, I find that anytime I'm feeling imbalance, it becomes muscle memory. I immediately go to that mantra. And it helps me find a place of peace. It also helps me deal with high pressure situations, even something like litigation, showing up in court. I find that in the back of my head, that mantra is running. And because it's running, I'm able to approach difficult and challenging situations with an even tempered mind. And I think that comes from that training that your book actually talks a lot about, but using many different codes of vocabulary to talk about the very same thing that my mom taught me.
Yeah. And that's what the book, you guys, is. And the reason I was so honored to have Benebell write the foreword, and I was so honored that we are very much on the same page with some of the topics that, and maybe not exactly on the same page, everybody's going to have a little bit different beliefs, but my subtitle to my book is Stop Cutting Cords and Learn to Transform. I would go even a step beyond that to say transmute, because there is a little bit of a difference in definition in that. So I go even beyond that and say transmute negative energy to live an empowered life. And you taught and you really had a good way of explaining the cutting cords and talking about why you believe that for you, maybe cutting cords doesn't always work. And could you just tell us a little bit about your belief on that? And what I always say is, I'm not trying to convince you. I don't need to convince anybody to believe the way I believe. But if something's not working for somebody, I'm giving them another way to look at things. So what do you think about cutting cords?
Well, I think that when we say we're cutting cords using that psychic visualization where you see a knife, you've heard this before. People say to visualize a knife and you cut these cords or scissors. That concept, that theory of cutting cords, what you're doing is you're dispersing the energy in a way that's uncontrolled and unpredictable. So you've just dispersed that energy from a channel that you see, and you know where that energy that's toxic for you, you can see it, you know where it is. And instead of keeping it there and finding a way, as you said, to either transform or transmute it, what you've just done is scatter it all over the place. And even if you don't feel it today or tomorrow, it's going to impact you in a negative way at some other point as a form of energetic ricochet. It'll come back to you. And so it just makes more sense if you truly want to be able to neutralize something that is hurting you. The way to approach that energy cord is to find a way to channel that energy so that it's positive and change its chemistry so that it no longer hurts you.
Right. I agree with that. And you had in there, one of the things that you said was, as far as you told another story about being, and this is one thing, when I read your forward, I thought, oh, are we going to be on the same page on this? Because you told a story about being at a pagan conference. And I don't know if you remember, it's, I'll refresh your memory. You were in an elevator And you said one year you were in an elevator, just to refresh your memory. Two individuals walked into an elevator with me. One remarked delightfully to the other about how so many oblivious and naive conference attendees were not shielding and thus their energies were ripe for the taking. Do you remember this?
I remember the event. I don't remember what I said about it, but I absolutely remember that event.
So you talked a little bit about energy vampires. And so I was going to get you to talk a little bit about what you think about energy vampires. And because I go in the book a step beyond, I say, yes, there are those who may intentionally do it and that they may unintentionally. There are also those who kind of just drain our energy, that maybe a psychic vampire. And then I come up with another term, and I touch on it because I put it in the book, then I take it out, then I put it in the book, then I take it out, and Roger knows. And I call them transmutation vampires. So even though vampire has a little bit of a negative connotation, I think we can actually be a transmutation. If somebody's going to throw at us, if they keep throwing energy at us, and they're throwing shade at us, they keep throwing energy at us, eventually I'm going to just say, fine, thank you, I'm going to transmute that and turn that into vitality I can use. So I explain what I mean by that. There's no ill intent in it, but if they keep throwing that energy never goes away, it just changes form. So if they're going to keep throwing at me, finally I'm just going to, I'm going to absorb it anyway. So what do you think about that?
I agree with that. I think also, though, that people are at different levels of ability. You know, I think if somebody is in a particular state of mind, asking them to transmute that negativity that's being thrown at them into love and light, I think that's a big, hard ask. You know, that's a very challenging thing for somebody in a particular state of mind to do. Totally. It does require some more level of inner work, I would say, you know, before you are able to very validly say and authentically say to yourself, I can take somebody's negative toxic energy and transform it into something that's positive for myself. That's not easy. And so if somebody attempts to do that on a superficial level and it's not done in a way that's sincere to them, I don't know how effective that would be. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's
totally
kind
agree.
of something that requires a lot of inner work first before you can get to that place that you can actually do that in a sincere way. And if it's not sincere, I just don't think it's effective.
I think it could maybe even be harmful if it may hurt them if they're trying to do something they're not ready to do. That's what the book does. That's why I encourage people to go through every single exercise in the book, because it starts with scanning your own energy. If you can't even know what's yours, then I can't always transmute energy. If I'm really angry, I'm really ticked off in that moment. I remember I had a situation last Christmas when I was writing about that very thing at our Christmas party. And I won't go into it, but I got pretty upset. It was our own Christmas party here at Soultopia. And, there was somebody was being, they were just being rude. And I was like, gosh, this is our own Christmas party. And I was thinking, oh, God, I'm not doing anything I'm writing about in this book. I'm just not able to do it. And, should I even put this book out? I'm not able to do it. So I went all the way back to chapter 1 of the book, exactly what you're saying. And that's when I need the tools. I need my black tourmaline. I need my protection. I don't need to take on their energy. I need to protect from that. And so I'm very careful in the book to say, we don't do away with all the tools. We don't go straight to trying to transmute energy. We start with little baby steps. So I'm glad you said it, because it's true. And I think it'd be irresponsible of me to say, oh, yeah, you jump straight to that. Because it wouldn't be authentic. And two, I think it might not be very healthy for some people to try to do that. And, I have
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
One of the East Asian occult practices that I learned, we call it a form of tulpa, or it's like a mind created entity of some kind. And you mind create a spirit entity, which is a guardian animal, an animal guardian, kind of like a guard dog. You think of an animal that you want to sort of summon in spirit and create a guard animal for yourself, and you use your intention setting to set that animal as a spirit entity in front of the situation, the person, or whatever. And that's kind of an easy, not easy is the wrong word, but it's kind of a way to deal with that energy before you can get to that place of translating it into love and light. So that's a way that I've dealt with it. If I'm not ready to be like, oh, I can't be the better person yet, then that guard animal spirit is one really easy sort of mental exercise to do that
I love
I've
that.
worked with in Chinese occultism.
I love that. Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do. Frenchie, a couple little Frenchies.
Frenchy dogs.
Yeah.
You
I'm going to put Loki and Thor
you
in
don't
charge.
like a
I'm going to put
Doberman Pinscher or something.
Yeah, Loki and Thor. They're bad enough.
So another thing that I liked, I'm talking about your forward. There were so many good, great quotes in your forward, but one of them, and I'm trying to find it, Roger, you quote me, so I liked that. We are superheroes with compassion as our capes. And I go through the superhero's journey, of course, Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. And I'll tell you a little story on that. That was a really cool synchronicity thing. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I didn't grow up with that, learning that for every story. Now I guess they all grew up with that. Lizzie grew up with that. Every class, she's like, oh yeah, yawn. Every class they talk about that. Every comic book, every one of the superhero stories. We learned the hero's journey, right? And I was like, well, I didn't grow up learning that at all in the literature classes or anything. You didn't either.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
It was
did
there.
Did you,
It's
Benebell?
there, but
Yeah.
Yeah, well, in our school, it didn't make it to Texas schools, and I'm older than you, okay? So it didn't make it to Mississippi.
No.
You're older than Benebell, too, though. Okay, so, but now they teach it all the time. So I was talking to a friend, and her son's in the background. I was like, I don't know how to talk about this. I want to go from absorbing, so that's a certain level, and I was talking about empaths in the book, that we absorb, then we can get to a level, and it's cyclical, where we can deflect and protect, and then we can get to where we transmute. And no one area is better than the other, but we're on this sort of journey of where we're going to be. And so her son was in the background. He goes, that's a superhero's journey. Because, when you're going through that, and you use guides, you use allies along the way. When my daughter came home from, she's in law school now, but at the time she was at UT, and she comes home, and I'm talking, and she said, oh, you need to use the superhero's journey, because it's exactly, Mom, you're talking about this journey they're going through. They use allies, they use guides, and so it was really fun. And then I said, we are superheroes with compassion on our capes, and you quoted it in the foreword. And so I really appreciated that. But here's the quote that I was looking for. Talking about that love and hate and being two sides of the same coin, okay? And you were just talking about what do we do if we're not ready to transmute that energy? And I'm sort of skipping around here, but I love this quote. I highlighted it on my Kindle on my phone. You said, the energy alchemist, which an alchemist, you guys, is a transmuter, made up that word, but it's you change energy, right? You change the form of energy. The energy alchemist can flip that coin. So two sides, love and hate, are two sides of the same coin. The energy alchemist can flip that coin to land love side facing up. I love that quote.
I didn't know I said that. I can't believe I said that.
I think we're going to make a Benebell meme on that one for my Facebook page. If you give me permission, I'm going to do a Benebell. I'll quote you.
with
I love
with
that.
the pink hair, though.
Yeah, with the pink hair.
Has to be with the pink hair.
But I love that quote because it's two sides. That's that, the polarity. But the energy of the alchemist can flip that coin to land love side up. I really like that.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's our
cool.
choice, but sometimes we're not ready to do it yet, and that's when we use the Frenchie bulldog.
The Frenchie's
no, seriously.
attack.
Yeah, or and I say in the book we can use such things as our essential oils. We can work with things like that to help calm us down. We can use certain crystals, lepidolite, not sage, but selenite, which I think of as like sage, and black kyanite. We can use companions to help get us to that point, to that third level of where we're ready to transmute, because we might not be ready, and we might not.
I love selenite and crystal quartz. Well, I love quartz crystal, but quartz crystal and selenite are my personal two favorites for exactly what you're saying.
So, do you want that funny thing about selenite? What are all the misconceptions we hear about selenite?
It will melt in water.
Eventually it will.
Eventually, it doesn't
Yes,
melt
eventually
immediately.
it will. I
Well,
tested it.
eventually.
I experimented that.
Yeah.
How long did it take and how big of a piece was it?
Oh, months, many,
Yeah.
many months.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they-
it's
but
not
it
like
still did.
not dip it
Yeah.
in the water and it melts.
I mean,
no,
you
it
can-
doesn't
No,
do
no, no,
that.
no.
Dip
But
it.
if you, no, I kept it in water. I just left it immersed in water
Yeah.
for I think 3 months, and I think about half of it did
Yeah.
dissolve.
The other one is they oh God, they argue about it all the time. It's not selenite, it's satin spar. Satin spar is a type of selenite. Selenite's type of gypsum. It's all kind of the same
it's all
family of things. It's just the different versions of it.
Well, the other one is, and not to make fun of it, the other one is, this was just funny.
I
had
see that one daily, though.
I never knew who this was, but I compared it to sage. I said, you can kind of do, like you're going through the airport, you can put it around, and clear your auric field. It's really good for that. And somebody, this was a couple years ago, and I said, so it's, I was doing a lot of herbs. It was a presentation. I named a lot of different herbs, and then I gave a crystal that would be compatible to that herb. And I said, the compatible for sage would be selenite. And they raised their hand and they said, well, how do you light the selenite? I mean, how would you recommend that you light the selenite?
How did you respond? Did you keep a straight face?
What do you think?
I did, I think.
Sort of kept a straight face.
I said a blowtorch.
Exactly. That's the only answer you can give.
I mean, what do you say to that?
Yeah.
And I know that
You
person.
have demonstrated. I'd be like, this is how I light my selenite,
I
and
mean,
just totally
Yeah.
straight face,
How do
poker
you-
face.
I mean, I had already gone through, there's black tourmaline. And nobody had asked how you lit those herbs. But when I got to the selenite, I guess they thought, sage, you light it. The other ones, I guess they hadn't thought about
Nope.
you would light those
Hadn't
herbs.
thought about that
but
one.
on the selenite, boy, so we really get that a lot. It's funny.
Yeah.
I love selenite. I also, the black tourmaline, you talk about that in do you work with black tourmaline very much?
Yeah, well, I always associate that with electronics. So anything that gives off a lot of EMF waves, I'm going to put a nice big old chunk of black tourmaline near it. That's just my own personal practice.
Yeah, see, I use that. I also use shungite with that. In fact, Matt, I guess we need the shungite in here, right? It actually got taken out of here. We've got black tourmaline in here, though. It looks like there's
Right
a
there.
piece over there. There's one here, but it looks like there's a piece over there about ready to be shipped, or maybe I'm not seeing it right. But we also use this room for shipping, Benebell. This is like podcast / shipping in here for now. It's getting so crowded, though.
Yeah, it's too
busy.
crowded.
But so that I mentioned those three in the book. Black tourmaline. No, excuse me. I use black kyanite to clear the chakras. I always say that's one that could put all the other crystals out of business, so to speak, for chakra clearings, because you kind of do it like zigzag. And then the selenite for the auric field, and then lepidolite to calm you down. And then those introduce you to the next chapter where I go through a bunch of different crystals for different types of cords of connection, where you could use those crystals to work on different things, like if you're working on an ancestral cord or all those different types of cords in your life.
Yeah.
Right. So of course the crystal chapters got a little long, so we had to divide them in two because I like crystals. So
Yeah. So I know you do a lot of practice with, with your background, your heritage. So in China, energy work's really big
Taiwan.
in
She's
China.
Taiwan.
I know, but she does practice, things in China and Taiwan too. But energy work's a big deal there, right?
In Taiwan, yes. Places that still keep to the traditional practices, yes. If you talk to the modern Chinese urbanized community, they're even more atheist than they are here. So no
Okay.
to that. But yes, traditionally, energy work is very, very important.
So how does this right here where it's talking about the stopping of cutting cords and just healing, how would that be accepted in, say, there where it's because they've worked with energy much longer than people in the U.S.
Oh, I see where you're getting. I see where you're getting, like the Eastern medicine versus.
We don't necessarily use the word cords. We use the word qi, and then how qi has manifested can form some kind of a knot. It can form things that then stretch and bind two people together. And if you think about that language, that sounds a lot like what we would be referring to as energy cords. But we refer to it as chi energy that can get manipulated in ways that become bottlenecked and or twisted into something that bonds two people together or bonds two entities or causes a relationship to stay a certain way or to stay static.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really not that far different. It's just difference of how it's viewed.
Very similar. Very,
yeah, how
very
it's viewed
similar.
in the words in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and it's just that but part of the culture has been thousands of years. That's what they've done.
I see why you're asking
You
the
know,
question.
versus here, it's not been practiced that long.
Well, yeah. Well, we haven't been here that long.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A good point. In the book too, going back to the court. So I tried to, one of the big, and you addressed this in the foreword, one of the big things I tried to talk about is that people always immediately assume, and I think it's a misconception, that chords are negative, and that there are also positive chords. How do you feel about that?
Absolutely. For example, when I'm really down, if I am feeling very drained, fatigued, exhausted, depressed, and I'm with Michelle, for example, her energy can lift me up just by being with her. And it's because there's a chord there. Or, with any friend, somebody who's a true, kindred spirit, that chord can be a vital part of your own personal healing.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things, because everyone is always they're always saying, I want to take care of or cut this cord. And it's like, you're never hearing about the positive chords of connection between us. You just always hear about the negative, the negative. One thing I just think this is interesting to think about. So I always talk about the black tourmaline, because people will say it absorbs, it deflects negativity. But then I think about, okay, well, how does it know? Because taken in a vacuum, you think about the law of relativity, what to one person's negative, to another person might be positive, right? Okay, and taken in a vacuum, how do you really know what's negative, positive? That's frequency, really. But the black tourmaline, will say it absorbs, it deflects, and it transmutes. Most every description says that. And it transmutes what? Negativity. But I guess it just determines it. Sometimes I just ask these questions, because these things, like we were talking about, get repeated over and over and over again. So what, I'm not really asking, I'm just saying, I think about it. How does it know what's negative? I guess it just determines for us what we think is negative. I'm just posing that question. I just thought about it one day and I thought, I guess it just decides for us or works with us to know what is negative. But really, our experiential filters for us determine what we think is negative energy. Would you agree with that to a certain extent?
Yeah, I think when we say something is negative energy, that might be just, how sometimes, children have very interesting ways of describing things. And if you really think it through, it actually makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. So I think when we say some energy is negative to us, it's our way of characterizing a particular energy composition to make so that it makes sense for us. I think what my hypothesis for what you're saying in terms of a black tourmaline, quote unquote, knowing the negative energy to deflect or transmute, I think it's energy that's in some way incompatible with the energy that we're emanating out. So when the emanated energy we're emanating out combines with whatever energy or sentience is being emanated from the black tourmaline, it creates some kind of a force field of some kind, just my hypothesis.
Right.
And so any energy that's incompatible to what is your innate emanation is going to be deflected away, whereas any energy that's in harmony with your innate emanation comes through.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's what I would agree with. But it's interesting to just think about it, right? To think. And then that's what I do. I take it, and that's where it goes back to those three things and I opine, I say, or I would suggest, just in the book, that no matter how much we protect and how much we use all of our tools, that at some point because we are one, if if we go on that theory, that we are going to absorb some energy. So it's good to go through this process of this book and go through, and I suggest not skipping the chapters, even if people, or the exercises, even if people that know how to feel energy already. I say try them and go through them and refresh your memory. Go through the exercises, because I think that it's very important to really, really know that we all take on a little bit of energy. No matter how much we protect, we all absorb some energy. And if we're not really transmuting, if we're not, we're not feeling great that day, we're not minding our energy, that's, I think, in this world today, why we've got so many problems, is we're kind of, I think if we, I'm going to say this carefully, I think if we would start with just managing our own, or at least scanning our own energy before we talk to someone, and just scanning our own. It doesn't mean that we don't have issues and that we need to deal with, but just scan our own energy and then go and approach other people as far as where they're at with their energy. And in interactions, the world might be a little bit better place.
Yeah.
That's just a nice way of saying I think we need to love one another. And I think we can get away with saying that these days, right? I think we can love one another and try to lead with love, right?
Yeah, look at Matt. He was all stressed out a few minutes ago. Now he's chill.
He's chilling out over there.
He mind his own energy.
He's minding his own energy. Is it time for us to do some readings?
If you'd like, yeah.
Yeah?
We got some time.
I won't put you on the spot this time. I couldn't believe I did that last week. I was like, oh, you want to read him, Matt? And you're like, no, I don't.
He was scared. He's scared.
He was
Better
not.
served on someone else.
No, he wasn't scared. Thank you for talking about my book, and thank you for writing the foreword. And I just really wanted to talk about what you had written and how much it's so interesting that it changed after you had written it, actually. And then it was interesting because Llewellyn came back and said, because you're so impressive, Llewellyn came back and said, Benebell, put some more about yourself in the forward, please. And you did. You beefed it up a little bit, but you're so humble. You didn't write that much about yourself. And then you were like, okay, I'll put some more about myself in there. And I'm really glad that you did. And I really want to thank you so much for writing it. I really appreciate it. And
Well, it's a very important book. I think at the end of the day, what the book is about asking people, inviting people to be more self-aware, and when you're more self-aware, you're able to, like you said, diagnose and see the things that are imbalanced in you and be able to transform that energy. So basically you heal yourself.
yeah, that's what I think. If we start with healing ourselves, then we can move on to perhaps maybe working with the rest of the world and making this world a little bit better place. And I don't think that's Pollyanna. I think that we can get there, I really do. I think people are ready to get there. I think that we're ready to start trying to, and it started off with that whole thing, Benebell and you guys, and he knows, because there was so much of this, just cut them off, just block that person, let's just build a wall. And I thought, the minute you build a wall, who's behind the wall with you? You. So if you haven't managed your energy first, you're going to be behind your guarded wall with you. And I say to myself sometimes, I'm making my own self crazy. I'm making myself crazy. And so if I don't deal with my energy first, then, things won't get better. So that's where the book came from. And it was really interesting to know that how divided things have become, and the book being about the fact that we need to connect. And I think that we do need to find a way back to that. I'm not sure how that will happen, but I do think it has to begin with each individual person, just looking at themselves a little bit. And we can all do that, even if we were all getting along perfectly, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so what are we doing? Does anybody want a reading?
Yep.
Yep.
How about we start with Dawn?
Okay. So how we'll do this is we will just do like a one card pull, if that's okay, Benebell, and each give. And Matt, I don't know where we're on time since we were a little bit late. You'll kind of tell us when we need to go to that 1, 2, 3 thing. Is that fair? Pardon me?
Go to 45.
Okay. Benebell, what deck are you reading with?
I can read with my Spirit Keepers
Okay.
Tarot Vitruvian or the Rider-Waite-Smith if people want more familiar imagery.
Why don't you read with yours, and then I'll
Okay.
read with Jamie Elford's and Jack. I didn't say it right now last time. Sephiroth, is that how you say his name? Sephiroth, Heaven and Earth Tarot. And Roger, you're reading with.
The original Rider-Waite.
Okay. So we got a little bit of everything. And I said this last week. The teenagers are like 16 and up are really liking this Heaven and Earth deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Lizzie loves it.
Yeah, Lizzie loves this deck. Okay, so does she have a question, or is it just general?
General,
All right.
generically, general.
You're being weird in a good way. All right, are you ready, Benebell?
Yes, I am.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, I'll pull a card first.
And we'll set
I
intention.
pulled the Six of Wands, Six of Scepters. It's the spirit of the champion in my tarot deck. I see this as success. I see this as your career amplifying and moving into the next level. Your energy is also really on. I feel like people are able to connect to you. You have a charisma that is just coming out of you. So I would really capitalize on the charisma that's just oozing out of you that people are really latching onto. If you are able to, if there are a lot of opportunities, golden opportunities around you. It's just about seizing them. And so you're in a very lucky position. I think it's about being more proactive and seizing onto those opportunities that are being presented to you. I think some of them you're not looking at. You're not looking in the right direction, but it's right in front of your eyes. Success is in your near future for sure.
Very good. And I got the Hermit card. This is, and I read it pretty traditionally. You've kind of gone within, and you do have so much wisdom. And it's time for you to give that. And you've been wanting to share your wisdom. You've been wanting, you don't put it that way, but you've been wanting to impart your wisdom to others. You've been wanting to give some classes and do things like that. If this is, I'm thinking it's the dawn that I'm thinking about. And even if it's not, that's the same message. You're wanting to take that wisdom that you've got, especially I'm going to say unique to this COVID period, and you're wanting to take it out and share it with others. And I'm getting specifically in a teacher aspect. Roger?
And I got the Eight of Swords. One thing is that sometimes when we do feel a little bit like stuck, it's very easy just to step forward and out. So when you are feeling this kind of inner, like you're stuck into one place, just move yourself and just kind of open up. Don't let yourself get, be trapped just by your own thoughts.
Okay. Who's next?
Next is Sarah.
And I didn't say before, but each of us individual will be setting our intention. However we do that, we just won't go through that all on the air. But Benebell, I'm sure, has done that for each of, and Roger's done that, and I have done that. However we each individually do that. So just know that that's been done. Okay. Benebell, do you want to start? Who is it again?
Lexi.
Lexi.
Wait, yeah, Lexi's next.
Okay.
General reading or question?
Just reading.
Okay. I pulled the Eight of Wands. So this is the spirit of the sharpshooter. And if you see the imagery on screen, it's Artemis. So I see the energy and the presence of Artemis, the archetype of Artemis around you. This is a go-getter, and I see messages coming in soon that are going to be positive. I see a lot in the future that I see you going out and being able to do something that's really positive and productive. And I see a lot of communications as well, positive communications in your near future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you ready? Are you looking
go
at?
ahead.
Okay. All right. So I pulled this is a pretty card. Lexi. I pulled the Lover's card, and you know what I was drawn to on this card more than what the traditional card meaning of the card is it looks like that there's energy like flowing up from the cups, and I don't know if they mean for this to be, they almost look like these sharks flowing down into the cups, And so it looks like this beautiful energy flowing up, but these almost sharks flowing down. And what I'm getting from that is, especially on this, it would be on the left cup as you look at this. And it's like a flow of love, and they call, it's not the lover's card. They label it the lover's card. Here's what I'm gonna say. I get this as something. It's the work that you're doing. It's again. It's not within your life or your love life or anything like that. It's who you are working with, and the fact that you deliver messages, and they're not always received, but you need to stick to it and not soften the message. Deliver it in love and deliver it compassionately, especially when you're doing your energy healing and things like that. But make sure that you're sticking to your guns and and not backing off your message, especially I'm getting like love readings. So I'm assuming you are doing readings. That's what I get. Yeah, that's it. Sorry, that was long.
It's okay. I got the Chariot card, and I don't know why you're actually just sitting back waiting. You need to get moving, okay? You're just kind of waiting. You need to get moving, start getting out there, and versus just hanging out. Just get moving forward. Get started.
Okay.
Now.
I wanted to conclude that also just to sort of add on to what I said earlier with the Artemis archetype in the Eight of Wands. You're the hunter, not the prey.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so next is Sarah.
Okay.
Again, general reading?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Benebell.
Roger, I got the Chariot card.
There you go. See?
Okay, so with the Chariot card, a couple of things. I would say in 2021, of all the 4 seasons, summer seems to be your golden season. Some great things happen in the summer. That's the time to really be on the perch and look out for really interesting things that are going to happen. I think a new milestone may be turned at that time as well. And in terms of the Chariot card, this is again about having kinetic energy. You know the path to take, but it's about, a journey. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And I think this is just that little push that spirit is giving you and nudging you to just take the leap forward in that direction that you've been thinking about, that you've been hesitating in. And if you take that leap forward now, I think actually in the very near future, rather than having to wait a very long time to see the fruits of your labor, if you take the leap now, you will see the fruits of your labor by summer.
Oh, great. Love the specifics of that one. And I got the 6 of Cups, and I'm going to show it to you if we can. Okay. And what I get from this card for you is I went straight to, and I don't typically give this type of reading with cards, but I got is specifically a guide around you, and I do feel an animal companion guide around you. And it's interesting that at the beginning of the show, at the top of the show, when I was talking about Benebell's, and I misread her bio, or read an old bio. That's kind of what I get, is I get an animal companion around you, and it's very nostalgia. It brings back those feelings, but whenever you're feeling that way, just know that that's because this animal companion guide is coming around you.
So I got the Emperor card. And so what I get from this actually is not about somebody being stern with you, but it's actually your own self. It's like you need to kind of re-evaluate those rules of life for yourself and kind of those goals and what you want to do and see how you want to take advantage of that. Kind of set the guidelines for yourself and start moving.
Okay. Are we going to keep going?
Yep.
Okay.
That was Kelly.
Okay. All these
Yeah,
general?
these are all general. Nobody asked for added
Okay.
question.
They just typed
They
the
just
name
said,
really
yeah,
fast.
I want a reading, yeah.
They were
I want a reading.
fast.
So
Okay.
we're reading for Kelly.
Kelly,
Yes.
yes.
I pulled the Five of Swords, the Hector. I see this as civil strife. This can be, well, one of the ways that I've seen the Five of Swords come up recently, it's kind of funny and very superficial, but like internet drama or social media drama, things like that, or news that are causing toxicity and forms of conflict in your life. So these are this, if you think back to, high school literature, the different forms of conflict, man versus himself, man versus environment. This card kind of encapsulates that. And so I think this card is coming up to kind of have is spirit kind of telling you to take a look and scan yourself for what are the conflicts causing imbalances in your emotions and headspace, and also what's affecting your ideologies in ways that you might not want these external stimuli to be affecting your personal ideologies and your values. So be a little bit more mindful of what you're consuming, what's around you, and maybe clean house, in a manner of speaking, clean house and clear off your space around you. There might be things that are around that don't necessarily belong. So a deep clean of your home and reading Michelle's book on energy transmutation is going to be very helpful for you.
Thank you.
Like how I plugged your book?
I
But I
love-
meant
I
it. I
love
meant
that.
every word.
I love that. I've got to get better at that, right? Okay, so the Princess of Swords, and this is a beautiful card. It's very, she is literally not, I literally get, and I'm about to talk about the book too. In the book, I talk about grounding not only to the earth and sending some recycle energy back to the earth, because we can pull up energies from the earth, and everyone always says to do that. But then I say we recycle, and best way to do that is also send some energy to earth, some of our energy back to Mother Earth, but also to ground in the heavens. So like wherever you think you're from, so ground there, and so you're grounding from where we're originally from, and then you ground up from the earth, and then you're equally grounded between heaven and earth, as above, so below. And so then I do that in each of the meditations. That's how I ground at the end, and each chapter. And that's what I'm feeling, but I'm feeling like you're getting so how does that tie into the Princess of Swords? Because I feel like you're getting this throat chakra up, that you're pretty grounded, but you're not grounded in your root, and you're from your like solar plexus down, you're not as grounded. So it suggests to you some crystals, if you like crystals, or even clothes to wear to get grounded in your root chakra, even yoga positions or meditation, affirmations, whatever that is for you. And they're in the book that you could use to ground yourself more, but you're good from the throat up.
Okay, so I got the devil card. And the one thing was, I was kind of thinking, I pulled this and I was thinking, then all of a sudden I realized Benebell's talking. So my thing is, rewatch this and go back and listen to what Benebell said, because it was exactly the same thing. I was just thinking, just different cards, but it's these things around you that you're creating around yourself that's kind of challenging for you. So go back and listen to what Benebell was just saying.
Okay. That's always a good idea. Go back and listen to what Benebell said. Yes, that's always a smart thing to do. All right, who's next?
Carol.
All right.
General. Carol.
Carol, right?
Carol, yes.
Okay.
And I want to give another shout out to Jamie Elford, because these are beautiful cards. All right, Benebell.
I pulled the devil, Roger.
You guys
You're
are
just following me along.
Y'all are
Bizarre.
synchronicity, and I'm off. Okay.
I'm just copying Roger. I don't know why. Just one pull after his. So this, I also see, again, echoing what Roger was saying when you talk about the classical attributions to this card. I think there, for you too, Carol, there might be something around that clean house, clean space. There may be some also yourself. I think the devil can be negative talk, hateful talk that we give to ourselves. So it can be negative speak that you're giving to yourself that's holding you back in some way. And so trying to figure out what it is around you or what you've created on your own in terms of negativity to exorcise so that you have a more positive outlook and you have a more constructive outlook of yourself. Self-confidence and also grounding and finding your center and feeling more weighted on the ground. Having your 2 feet on the ground as a figure of speech is going to be more helpful. You might be too caught up in your head. You might be too caught up in things that are very frenetic, restless. There's a lot of anxiety, and finding a way to even out and quiet that anxiety is going to really help clear the air for you so you can see your path forward, especially right now. I think more important than anything else is to find that path to walk. I think you're a little bit confused as to what that path is. And the reason for that is because there's a lot of clouds around you. Disperse those clouds and you'll see the path.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
That's good.
Yeah. So these are gorgeous cards. This is the Queen of Wands. And I got immediately, and I'm not going a lot with the traditional meanings. It'll come in a little bit, but I got like, you want to burn that mother down. I mean, so she is like drawing, it's almost like there's this drama, but you are drawing the line with it. So you're like, okay, so I'm not saying you're starting the drama, but you're like done with the drama and you're saying don't even cross this line. So it's very fiery and you're learning to kind of get a little more fiery back, and you've got some protection around you, but you're kind of saying just enough's enough with the drama. But I keep getting this term like burn that mother down. I mean, like that's not a song. You say some Johnny Cash thing.
The roof is on fire.
No, but
no, that
just,
one.
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. But and you're like, it's not going to come near me anymore. It stops right here, and I'm really done listening to it too. Yeah. So just step into that because you're tired of it. Yeah.
Well, just to help with that, I got the 9 of Swords. It means you've been up contemplating things, up, talking about it, up in your mind with it. But I think you need to listen and kind of maybe get back into your meditative state, kind of get your mind straight and get your mind clear and start fresh.
Okay. All right. Matt, how are we on time? Okay. Okay, you'll tell us when we need to go to our 1, 2, 3 thing, right?
We can probably go ahead and do that.
Do
Yeah,
it
do it
now?
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so Benebell, here's where we do, our listeners are gonna pick a number between 1, 2, or 3. They're gonna get it in their mind. And y'all know that we like to say, like our Carlton who works here, is Carlton on?
He was.
He says, no cheating, y'all.
No cheating, y'all.
Y'all, no cheating. You get a number in your mind, you don't change it. So, and then we'll tell you, we're going to shake it up. Benebell may not go first. We don't know who's going to go first, okay? So get one.
All we know is that Michelle will pick number 2.
I usually do. I usually pick number 2. Somebody's going to rig it sometime. They're going to give me the reading they want to have always wanted to tell me, because they're going to do a number 2 and they're going to rig it, what they've always wanted to tell me. It'll be him. All right, so number 1, number 2, or number 3 in your mind. And we're going to go with Roger's number 1. You're number 1, baby.
Number 1. Okay.
Yeah.
What did I get? Oh, 3 of Pentacles. 3 of Pentacles. The thing about 3 of Pentacles is, take this time the rest of the week to kind of look at the people around you and try to find those new connections with people. And even maybe the people that you haven't felt connected with, it's a great time to actually start back with those connections and building those connections and really kind of help move everything and keep yourself fresh.
Okay, and Benebell's number 2.
I got the New World Order. This is the classic world card in the Tarot Major Arcana. How I would read this here is I see give to receive is actually what I'm getting. This is kind of diverging a little bit from how we would classically read this card, but I keep hearing give to receive. And so I think there's something that you want, find a way to give and you will receive that thing that you want. I don't know why or how, but I promise you that's the method, that's the process to get what you want.
Thank you.
Nice.
I picked number 2.
That's why you picked number 2 and let Benebell do it.
No, I wanted a reading from Benebell. No, I always pick number 2. All right, so I am the number 3 reader, and then I'll wrap us up, okay?
Okay.
All right, so I got the Hanged Man, and I love this depiction. And this is going to be for number 3s, and we are going to talk a little bit about cords. He's corded right up there, and he has chosen to cord himself to this tree. And Mary Kay Greer talked a little bit about this card in her presentation on StarCon. But I'm just going to tell you that there's a lot of cords all wound around this tree. And so she is here just on purpose. And it doesn't mean you're stuck. It means that number 3s, you're not stuck right now. You are doing this traditionally, in my opinion. You are doing this on purpose to gain further enlightenment. You want to be there. You're not stuck in life right now. Look at this as an opportunity to, people might call this downloads, whatever you call it. You may call it enlightenment, to gain more information. But you have chosen to, in a positive way, cord yourself, because we're not just corded to people, we're corded to situations. To cord yourself to something where you, whether you're meditating or whether you're taking time out for your spirituality, that is a positive thing you're doing, number 3s, right now. And see, then, if you journal or however you do that, you're looking for what you can, that cord of connection you're doing, how you can then grow from it and become enlightened from it. And this is a choice you're making. If you can look at it like that, or at least your higher self is making, or your superconscious self. And so then how can you grow from that cording, okay?
Okay.
And that's in the book. The Hangman's in the book as one of the transmutation major arcana cards. So that's a good way for us to stop tonight, I think. And thank you, Benebell. I really, really appreciate it.
Thanks, Benebell.
Benebell wins so much. I enjoy talking to you.
Michelle, I always love hanging out with you guys.
We love, and if you'll just hang out for a few minutes if you can. I have something to ask you after the show, but we will wrap up now. And you can get our books. You can get Benebell's book here at Soultopia. You can get the Magic of Connection here. And if you guys would just like us on all our social media. Also, Benebell Wynn. Benebell Wynn. You can find her on, what's the best place for them to find you, Benebell?
Probably Instagram, only because it's the easiest for me to remember. It's at Bellwin, BELLWEN. So I'm there.
Okay. And so you can find us at Soultopia here, mysoultopia.com or soultopia.guru, and I have michellewelch.com. And so check us out. And we really enjoyed having Benebell tonight, and we look forward to seeing you. And listen to us on our podcast platforms. They're available tomorrow for those of you who listen to podcasts. And we enjoyed talking to you. We'll rediscuss matters that matter, things that matter to our soul, and you get to discern and decide issues that are important to your soul. Good night, you guys.
Good night, guys.